Hello, Ian here with Touratech USA, and today we're going to be doing a quick install in my chilly garage, hence the hat and the sweatshirt. We're going to be installing the cylinder head guards for the R1250GS and GS Adventure. And since this bike is our Touratech shop bike, it's going to have the upper and lower crash bars on it as well. So I'm going to go through installing the spacer kit for the crash bars to make sure that the guard fits. This is a pretty straightforward installation. I've got a set of Torx bits here. These are the Cruise Tools 3/8 drive units and a set of hex drive. These are Allen's metric, also the Cruise Tools units, and a ratcheting handle. And we're gonna get to it. It's a pretty quick install, so this will go nice. Okay, as with every Touratech installation, I like to start by pulling up the instructions here. I've got the old garage iPad ready to go. So first things is make sure that you have all the right hardware that you need to complete the installation. So I've got one guard. I'm just going to be doing one side today since they're exactly the same. I've got this bracket here. This is the only piece that's different from side to side, and this here fits on one of the valve cover bolts. So you want to make sure that it fits on the valve cover bolt, and then the bracket goes up from there, which this does. We've got the rubber dots, two of these little clip nuts, and then we're going to need 4 of these flange head bolts. Notice they already have red Loctite pre-installed on them. Pretty fancy. Okay, this stuff over here is just for the crash bars. So if you do not have crash bars on your bike, you don't need this. You probably don't even have this kit. If you do have crash bars, I'll show you how to use this. This is for the Touratech upper and lower crash bars. So first step is install 6 of the little adhesive dots. So let's do it. First step when you're over here by the motorcycle is to take your Torx T50 and you're going to loosen this rear mounting bolt on the valve cover about 3 turns so that we can slip the bracket underneath it. Underneath the head of the bolt, it's actually countersunk a little bit. There's a bit of a flange there, and this is a small enough piece that it has to fit down under the narrow head of the bolt. The narrow shaft of the bolt, excuse me. So make sure that this piece right here is the actual seal for the valve cover. This keeps your oil in. You want our bracket to go on the outside of that. So you get the bolt out far enough that it can slip over, and then slide this over the thin part of the bolt, and then you can tighten it back up. So there's a step here that I actually forgot earlier, but it's really easy to do on here. So these clip nuts, they just slide over the bracket like this. They have a threaded portion. You want to make sure that the threaded half is facing the valve cover so they fit on like this. And you'll notice that this part is squished. It's not exactly round. That's on purpose. That acts like a thread locking agent so the bolts don't vibrate out. Okay, with this bracket loosely installed, we can still spin this a little bit. We can figure out exactly where we want it to be. So you'll notice on the guard itself, there's 2 holes here and 2 holes right here. These 2 go to threaded bolt holes that are cast into the bottom of the cylinder head. Let me see if I can get the camera down there for you. You can see here's one bolt right there and the other hole right there. And a little bit of dirt. All right, you can see how when I pushed this up into place, that bracket moved a little bit. So what that does is it tells me exactly where it needs to be when it's finally positioned. So now I can just pull this back off, and I will tighten up this valve cover bolt. Does not need to be very tight, just as tight as it was when you loosened it to take it off. It's not much. Now we're going to grab these 4 little screws right here and go to town installing the valve cover guard. So these little flange head bolts have a Torx T25 head. So what I'm going to do is use the tool like a screwdriver, hold this up in place, and just start all 4 bolts loosely. There's one. I'll do one of the ones that comes up through the bottom and the front. And now the last bottom bolt. All right, that's all there is to it to install the cylinder head guards. If you are not running crash bars, all you got to do is throw this guard on the opposite side and you're good to go. If you are running Touratech upper and lower crash bars, we're going to start working on the spacers for those next, and I'll break down how those go together.